now we talked about a case scenario, which is that you began your day not intending to fast. So, because the obligation wasn't established on you, so you were eating and drinking or whatever, and then you got the news that day is Ramadan, so it established the hujjah on you, so you do imsak, but then you have to make up the day as well, right? Tayyib. Now this is true for the woman who is in hayd or nifas as well, meaning that there is I'm not going to get into detail here, but there is a sign of tahara that comes at the end of nifas. It's a type of a discharge, a whitish discharge. So if a woman gets that during the day, let's say at dhuhr time, now she knows that her hayd is finished. So here, her days are up, her hayd is finished, she has clear sign, so she has to make ghusl and she has to start salah. Like you cannot say, you know what, I'm not going to pray the rest of the day. La. So just in the same way, now Ramadan is fard on her. Meaning during Ramadan, if she gets her hayd or her nifas ends. What is nifas? Nifas is the bleeding post childbirth bleeding. Okay? Something like that, right? And here, when you have nifas, people say 40 days. 40 days is a maximum, right? Minimum, you could have no days. I mean, there are cases where there were childbirths that were totally bloodless or so on, you know. But most people will have around 40 days of bleeding. But this is a maximum. If your bleeding stops in 3 days or 7 days or 10 days or 20 days or 30 days or 36 days, when the bleeding stops, you have to make ghusl and start salawat and fasting and everything. You don't just go, you know what, my bleeding stopped, but I'm going to ride out the rest of the 40 days anyway. La. Right? Now what if you go past 40 days? Then istihada. Then it is irregular bleeding. Then you have to make ghusl, and even though there's blood, you will now make salah and fast and all of that. So 40 days, is clearly in the hadith, is a maximum, not a minimum. So if the nifas ends, bleeding stops in the daytime in Ramadan, and she knows it's finished, then she has to go make ghusl. Now the same scenario comes for the person who receives this type of a hujjah, this type of a bayyinah, this type of a evidence, like the one who found out it was Ramadan. Meaning, why were they not fasting in these cases? They were not fasting because of the mumani', the thing that prevents you, which is hayd or nifas. Now that that's gone, the obligation of Ramadan begins. You can't just be like, you know what, ishraq time, I'm clean, but I'm just going to not fast the rest of the day anyway because I didn't begin fasting. No, this is what most people do. But this is wrong. It is just like somebody who now salah is fard on her and she's like, you know what, I'm good. I'm not going to pray dhuhr, asr, maghrib, isha, la. And once the obligation comes, you have to be obligated. But now, do they have to make up that day? Yes. Because they didn't fast the whole day. I mentioned the hadith earlier. So, the same scenario is there. Also for the traveler